Welcome back. Missile strikes between Israel and Iran are intensifying this morning. The conflict between the two nations now entering its fourth day. Overnight, at least 8 people were killed following Iranian missile strikes on Israel. Israel's defense minister accused Iran of targeting civilians and threatened that, quote, residents of Iran would pay the price. As for Iran, state media there reports that more than 200 people have died since Israel began bombing Iran on Friday. A health ministry spokesman was quoted as saying civilians make up 90% of those casualties. Israel says the aim of its campaign is to eliminate Iran's nuclear facilities. The president of Iran told the country's parliament today that the country has no intention of seeking nuclear weapons. The U.S. has distanced itself from Israel's attacks as the Trump administration tries to pursue a nuclear deal with Tehran. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley is live in Tel Aviv with the very latest. Matt, good morning. So what more can you tell us about the Iranian president's comments on its nuclear program made this morning? And just how much are these Israeli strikes actually impacting Iran's nuclear facilities?
Yeah, 2 very good questions, Joe, and really the questions everybody's asking. You know, we don't know how much the Israeli attacks are setting back Iran's nuclear program, because the fact is that we have heard from the IAEA, and it seems as though Israel hasn't actually penetrated the underground facilities where most of the enrichment capabilities are being kept, and that would be at Natanz and Fordow. These places have, at least at Natanz, a surface-level facility that was almost completely destroyed in the initial Israeli attacks early on Friday morning. It doesn't sound as though any of these attacks have penetrated below, and that is where we're seeing the most crucial reserves. Now, we've also heard that Iran's parliament is going to be tabling a bill to try to withdraw from the nuclear non-proliferation treaty. Now, that would be probably a several weeks-long effort, but it goes to show that Iran has essentially given up its effort to try to comply with international nuclear rules, even though Iran's president has said they had no nuclear enrichment program. Important to note here, Joe, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has long accused the Iranians of being years, months, weeks away from being able to field some sort of nuclear weapon. He's been saying this since the early 1990s, and he's been wrong every time. So it's important to treat what he's saying now, that Iran was in breakout capability, was about to launch a nuclear weapon, or was about to create one, with some level of skepticism.
So, Matt, Israel launched the initial attacks. Iran has been ramping up its retaliatory strikes. I know you were forced to seek shelter in Israel throughout the weekend. Tell us more about that, and just what's the feeling among civilians on the ground there?
Yeah, I mean, it's every day. We've been forced 2 or 3 times a day in order to try to hide. And one of the things when I was just coming out, I'm standing on my balcony right now, you could see interceptions above as I was trying to run for that safe room. So it's pretty threatening. And, a lot of the Israelis who share this bunker with me, they were pretty calm. They see this as sort of a typical thing, even though, this is something that you can actually hear audibly from inside these very protected rooms. So it is frightening. But the fact is that the IDF has said that everybody who has died so far, and as you mentioned, there's been about 24, has died because they haven't reached the safety of these protected rooms.
So, Matt, when Israel first launched these attacks on Iran Friday, the Trump administration said the U.S. was not involved in the strikes, was not providing Israel with military assistance. We also learned this over the weekend. A U.S. official told NBC News President Trump in recent days vetoed Israel's plan to try and assassinate Iran's supreme leader. What more can you tell us about this plan, and just how engaged is the U.S. in what's going on between Israel and Iran right now?
Yeah, I mean, that was something that was first reported by Reuters. Our own Von Hilliard backed it up. And, it's a pretty interesting little detail. The fact is that Donald Trump has given the green light, we know, to Israel's attacks on Iran, which is what set this whole thing off last Friday early morning. But whether or not Trump actually said that the Ayatollah wouldn't be killed, I mean, well, we know that from our own reporting that that is the case. But it goes to show that President Trump does have some level in which he's trying to restrain Benjamin Netanyahu. We have to remember here, the supreme guide of Iran, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, isn't just a political leader. He's also a spiritual leader for the about 10% of the Muslim world who are Shia Islamic. They don't all necessarily sort of revere this man, and Iran has a very unique political religious arrangement that allows for the reverence of the supreme guide, the supreme leader of Iran. But this would be kind of a big step if he were to be killed along with the rest of his generals and political leaders. It might invite more against Israel than they'd be willing to swallow.
Matt Bradley in Tel Aviv. Matt, thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.